Most of us consider our pets as part of our immediate family, but would you feed your family member dried up, bland food from a bag? If you had better options to feed your family members, but at the same cost, but maybe slightly more work, would you do it? Unfortunately, most dog and cat owners opt in for the easier option, which is feeding their pet dry kibble. Feeding your pet, either cat or a dog, a kibble-based diet is probably the worst thing that you can do for your animal. A raw, balanced diet is the only food that you should be providing for your dog or cat. Today, my goal is to persuade you to feed your dog or cat a raw-based diet. First, we will discuss how bad store-bought kibble is. Then we will examine why people tend to opt in for kibble as an easier option. And finally, we will look at how a raw diet can be the best option for your pet. Let's first look at how corrupt the dog food industry is. Sadly, pet food industries only care about profit and don't care about the quality of food that they are giving their customers. Although pet food companies glorify the ingredients in their products, the process of dehydrating the food and making the kibble strips the product of its natural nutrients. Dog Naturally magazine states that commercial kibble not only has harmful toxins, they also strip the product of its nutrient value, and it becomes a dead food product. Dogs are carnivores by nature. Dogs have a desire to eat meat and have that feeling of ripping flesh, and that's criminal to them. If you were to put a raw steak in front of a dog and then you were to put a bowl of kibble in front of the dog, which one do you think the dog is going to go after? If you guys answered steak, that's totally correct. So if this is true, why is the number one ingredient in our pet food carbohydrates? According to wolftucker.com, 90% of animal caretakers, which is everybody, you and me, who has a dog or a cat, 90% of them feed their animals a kibble-based diet, and that's composed of 60% carbohydrates. Very little moisture, minimal, low-quality protein. Much of the protein in commercial kibble diets is also plant-based. Again, why are we giving our animals plant-based ingredients if they're carnivores? And we're expecting our pets to graze on this type of diet all day long and be satisfied both physically and nutritionally does not make sense. You could think that you are giving your pet the best by buying them the most expensive dog food on the shelf, but when you dive deep into the ingredient list, you'll be surprised that not any of it is worth the money that you're spending and is slightly better than maybe the cheapest kibble on the shelf. Dogs Naturally magazine again states, unfortunately, many well-intentioned customers who give their pet a high-quality commercial diet choose the expensive grain-free kibbles with claims of all natural, believing that they are purchasing a more nutritious dog food. But even if these kibbles contain high-quality ingredients with no preservatives, fillers, or additives, they are still going through the cooking process, which ultimately nullifies most of the nutritional value that these quality ingredients would have contributed. Not only is your dog not getting all the nutrients it needs, but it can also lower its lifespan as well. Now I know what you're all thinking. It's too hard to feed raw. I don't even know where to start. It seems messy, but kibble is so convenient. I can pick it up on my way home, and my dog doesn't mind eating it. You wouldn't be surprised how easy feeding raw can actually be. If you want to feed your dog its absolute best and give them the energy and life it deserves, then feeding raw is the only way to go. According to pets.wmd.com, here are the benefits of feeding your dog or cat raw. They have shinier coats, healthier skin, clean teeth, higher energy levels, smaller stools, and a longer lifespan. Why would you not want these benefits for your pet? When you have a child and they reach a certain age where they begin eating solids, most mom or dads will sit on the computer and research what's the best food to give their kids. Then they begin preparing the food for their kid, and it just becomes a natural habit of making these foods for your child on an everyday basis. And why wouldn't you do the same for your pet? All you need to do is just start doing some research on how to feed your pet raw, and then you'll be able to find what ingredients can make their meals nutritionally sound. According to rawfeedings.org, a raw food diet typically consists of muscle meat, often still on the bone, bones either whole or ground, organ meat such as livers or kidneys, raw eggs, vegetables like broccoli, spinach, and celery, apples or fruit, and some dairy such as yogurt. Rawfed.com states that raw feeding can also be as expensive as you make it. It can be more expensive at kibble at first until you find a more reliable source for meat. or can be dirt cheap to begin with. As your dog's protein sources diversify, your cost will also decrease since she can eat a variety of meats. According to Healthy Dog Workshop, there are 100 cups in a 24-pound bag of dog food, making the daily cost to feed a 50-pound dog $50 divided by 30 days, which is 1 month, and that turns out to be $1.66 per day. Now, according to rawfeedingcommunity.com, the estimated for the same pound dog, so a 50-pound dog, is going to be $2 a cup for raw feeding. Yes, although it is slightly more expensive, it's only about 40 cents more expensive, but you'll be saving on vet bills as well because you won't have dental issues, stool issues. You won't have low energy in your dog, and your dog is going to be getting the exact nutrients that it needs, so you won't be at the vet as often. And of course, for those who have pets, we can all agree that vet bills are very expensive, and just one vet visit could save you hundreds of dollars. So today, we have discussed the history and the corruption of the kibble companies, and we moved into why kibble is not nutritionally sound for your pet, and we looked into how easy it is to feed your dog or cat raw and how beneficial it is for their body systems. We want these members of our family to live as long as possible, so feeding raw will give them the quality of life that we want for them. Remember, you wouldn't feed your child or family member kibble if you had the opportunity to feed them better food. You made the decision to adopt these animals. They didn't decide for you guys to adopt them. You went and you adopted them. So make sure that it's time to step up to the plate and feed them correctly and give them the nutrition that they deserve.